Wrestling podcast never felt this great. Tables, ladders, chairs, they tell it all. From the highest highs to the lowest fall. Grit and glory tales from the ring. Every chant, every cheer they'll bring. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never felt this great.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Devon and the Duke podcast. This is a limited edition series hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Wrestling. And of course, I'm going to have to start calling this guy the king of River City Wrestling Con, because from top to bottom, the influence of Devon Dudley was felt throughout the entire weekend. And he was in the building on top of that. The one and only Mr. Devon Dudley. What's going on there, bro?
So I'm going good, man. Doing good. Just, on the high of being at, River City Con and just seeing all the students that I've, worked with and got to the level that they are at now, be very successful. My sons, who did an excellent job, very proud of them. Of course, I critiqued the match and gave certain critiques about certain things that I thought could have been better. But hey, everybody, needs that, even when you're at a certain level. And I just felt that my boys did an excellent job and people were loving them, and I was very happy. I made very, very good money at River City Con. I can't begin to thank the fans for coming out and showing their love and support for me, and not only me, but my students, my sons, just River City Con in general. How, Nick threw a fantastic con, and it was a huge success.
It sure was. I mean, without a doubt, the not only the best incarnation of River City Wrestling Con, but the number one pro wrestling convention in the history of the state of Florida. And for all the conventions in the nation, really, per capita, River City Wrestling Con is top three. They're crushing it. They're crushing it on every level. And I have my own opinion, Devon. Let me ask you this. Let me take this different angle from you, because you've done all the conventions. You've been here and done that all over the world and what have you. If you could name one or two things that separates River City from most of the others, what is it about River City that makes it work so well?
I think the general thing that Nick basically takes the time, walks around, making sure everybody's good, everybody's okay. And if there's a problem, he's right there handling it right away. I really did not see anybody upset, or even people that were upset because maybe the funds weren't coming in as good for them as they thought it was. It's not River City Con's fault. And I'm not even trying to blame the talent, but again, he was there to try to console the situation. He had his hands in everything. He was being pulled from every direction, and he was able to make a lot of things work and a lot of things happen. I think that's one of the things that stand out to me the most about him. He's a very genuine person. He basically knows what he's doing. He's got good people surrounding him, helping him in that aspect, and can't go wrong with that.
No, you sure can. And in the venue, you look at World Golf Village, it's an upscale venue, man. Most of these conventions are not in a space that looks that good, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that certainly helps the ambiance. The fact that he has the sheriff's deputy's office, they're involved. So you got real security and you got real law enforcement on site to make sure everything stays under control. It's deep. It's good stuff,
It
man.
really is. It really
it's good stuff. And I'm glad you brought that up. Everyone has to go through it. You go to certain signings and maybe the crowd isn't there like you would hope. And sometimes the crowd is there, but it's just not your day. And you're not getting the response that you had hoped for. You're not making as much money as you would want to.
Right.
One of the things that I got to call out to everybody out there, all of you wrestlers out there, whether you're in the business now, aspiring, whatever, legends, everybody. If you don't take the time to do some type of media, then you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
So, Devon's fortunate enough that we have this show here. Devon has the YouTube as well. He's active on his social media. You got a great team behind you, what have you. You get the word out about wherever you're going to be, and you do a very
Mm-hmm.
good job of that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that just don't do a good job at that.
You know, and the thing about it also is that, you know, sometimes it's not just your social media that's going to get the word out, because there were times where, like last year, I was there. I didn't make nowhere near what I made this year. And people knew I was out there. It was all over my social media and everything, but yet people didn't know either I was there or they didn't come out. Now, the thing about it is, some of the names that were on there, not everybody's a social media person. Not everybody's going to go on, line and search for this stuff. So it's in my opinion that not only do you have to get the word out through other outlets, but you have to be able to not only push yourself, but to push some of the big names, because that will draw the people as well. Because I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know these guys were here. I get that all the time. Last year, again, I thought I did a great job, and I'm gonna say just above okay. But this year, I had totally different outlook, different response, and it was one of those things that it was really, really good. So like you like to say, rebranding myself and getting myself still out there, even though I have not been in a ring wrestling on a major circuit, since 2016 SummerSlam pre-show with the Dudleys versus Sami Zayn and Neville. I have not really been on a major circuit, doing anything since. I did the 1000 episode of TNA, but again, it wasn't pushed the way it could have been pushed. But I get it was last minute and things like that. But even with that, didn't really help to draw the numbers for me. But because what I've been doing on YouTube and my own social media, other outlets and things like that, it's really, really has been really good.
Yeah, I mean, again, you have the built-in advantage of every week you're putting out content. People are used to hearing from you, and they're hearing good stuff. It's not like you're just talking nonsense. Like you're talking very good stuff at every
Hmm.
turn. So certainly the enthusiasm that Devon Dudley has developed, you're on a string of having some pretty good showings at most of the conventions you've done the last couple of months, right? You've been knocking it out of the park, right?
Absolutely. It's been great.
Yeah. See,
Me not wanting to work for a major organization, just want to do my own thing right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with TNA. I don't have a problem with AEW, although I like to say that sometimes I question the office on how they do things, but that's not for me to say because I'm not there, nor do I, have any say so in that. I love the talent in AEW. I absolutely love it. Um, I'm just not a fan of how things are done there, because I came from the era of a Paul Heyman in ECW and an era of Vince McMahon and Paul Levesque, Triple H as well. Even though Vince was still in charge, I learned under Hunter as well. Seeing how I'm not excluding ECW, but just seeing how things are run by the machine called WWE is something that you know I learned and I took into consideration. Even at times when I was in TNA, when me and Bubba were very active in there, the things that TNA were doing with the organization during that time, the people who were in charge, the Dixie regime, I did not care, nor did I like how things were being run. It was just run totally different from what I was used to. And so many people would say that, whether it will be Flair used to say that. Kevin Nash, Booker T, Scott Simon. These are guys that I came up in the business with during the Attitude Era and during the PG era and the TNA era. It was just that certain things that TNA was doing at the time was not right. Now, are they hitting it out the box now? Absolutely. They're doing great even before the collaboration between TNA and WWE. They had almost both feet in the grave. The only thing they didn't have was the dirt poured over them. They jumped out of that grave and they came back and they were hitting home runs left and right. They were doing things the right way to the point where WWE, Paul Levesque and them were like, you know what? Let's join forces. Let's do this. For whatever reason that happened, they did it, and now look at them. It was like when Jesus raised Nazareth from the dead. That's exactly what happened with TNA.
They're a different company now. They sure are.
They're a different company.
Yeah. Yeah. They sure are. That's true.
And I'll be honest with you, that's what I would like to see for AEW. I would love to see more attendance for them. I would love to see them making money outside of what Tony Khan is bringing. I would love for them to make money, with the houses and the merchandise and things like that. The way the WWE runs things in terms of that, the well-oiled machine that they are. I think AEW has the opportunity to do that, but they've got to have the right people in place to help them. Tony Khan cannot be the only one making major decisions. When Vince was in charge back in the 80s and 90s, he had Pat Patterson, who was his right-hand man, who probably saved Vince a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And I think Tony Khan needs somebody like a Pat Patterson, and we've said this before, or Michael Hayes, or better yet, a Triple H that will be able to tell him, no, this is how it should be, because they have the experience of how things would work. And again, I love the talent over there. A lot of times I'll watch AEW, and I don't watch AEW like some of these hardcore fans do. I don't even watch wrestling like that anymore. But when I watch the product, I'm amazed at the talent that they have there. Every single person on that roster is extremely good, just about every single one of them. And, for them to not be able to fill the arenas, or for them, not to get the ratings that they have, it's kind of like what TNA went through. We had everybody there at one point, but the ratings just was nowhere in comparison to what WWE was doing. And, that I found disturbing back then, so, I really push for those guys. I really hope that they can really knock it out the box and get somebody like a Pat Patterson or Paul Levesque or even a Michael Hayes that will be able to help them and guide them in the right direction that they need to go in to make those numbers jump.
Fingers crossed. We want everybody to make money. We want everybody to do well. So, again, Tony Khan, I hope you're paying attention. Seriously. But just to put a button on it, though, congratulations, River City Wrestling Con. Next year is going to be even bigger. Devon Dudley, we hope to see you there again. See what other kind of exciting things you and your whole crew got going on, because I'm telling you, man, TNT, they put on a great match, and I think they need to run that back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm sure the boys will be there too. I'll make sure that I'm there for 2 days
Yes.
in terms of the 2 days that they're signing, or even the day before, where we can get together and just talk about how to make this work.
That's a great idea. And shout out again to Aleah James and Scotti Sosa. Really a bust-ass match.
Absolutely.
Everyone was talking about it. It's one of the matches of the weekend for sure. In fact, I hear that people want to see that come back, because I guess Scotti, she used some underhanded tactics to get the victory over Aleah James. So I think you're gonna have to.
Well,
run
I can
that
tell
one
you
back.
what. I can tell you what. If anything, she learned that from Bubba.
Well, I was going to say that she learned that from.
She learned that from Bubba.
She didn't learn that one
Because
from
Bubba
you.
knows how to. Listen, Bubba knows how to get under the people's skin and make them hate him, and she did just that. So she took a page out of Uncle Bubba book, which ain't nothing wrong with that because people are talking and they're loving it.
Yep, that's what matters.
Just like Bubba, just like Bubba. Bubba made people talk. You didn't forget about Bubba. You knew it. Whether you hated him or loved him, he made you talk about him.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I got to send you the picture. I'm not sure if you saw it. There's a picture of Scotti. She has Aleah James on the second rope, like in the middle of the ring, and she's choking her with her leg. But just the photographer was in the right place. The way that she's doing it, it's such a cool live action shot. And I guess Aleah is very upset about that shot. She's like, "How could you put this out, make me look so bad?" I said, "Oh Jesus, okay." So
listen, I love them both, but unfortunately I taught Scotti that.
There it is. There it is. Breaking news, folks. But everybody out there, though, you got to get your tickets early. That's the thing. River City Wrestling Con, it sells out. And I'm going to say something else. This is not for you sweaty, don't use deodorant, neckbeards out there. This is a family-friendly event. This is like going to a WWE show in the sense that you look around and you see everybody from grandma and grandpa all the way down to the newborns. Like it legitimately is
Right.
a family event. So take your family, come have a good time. But if you're just out here trying to, drool over the girls or the guys or whatever, nah, this ain't for you. Ain't that kind of party.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Oh. I hear Ric Flair was in the building too, man. Did you get a chance to say hi to Rick?
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see Ric Flair, nor did I get a chance to see the Hurt Business. I wasn't having a chance to see them. I saw Shelton. Shelton came by the table and said hello, but I wasn't able to see MVP or Bobby, and I wasn't able to see Bret the Hitman Hart, which I would have loved to have seen those guys, but
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to see them. But it's fine.
Dallas was there. Did you see? I know you just
I
spent
got
some
it.
time with them.
I got a chance to see Dallas. That was
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
We embraced each other. We said, hello, of course. Dallas took a wrong step at home and basically hurt his leg, but he's bouncing back from it. He's doing that yoga, which is helping him go right back into Dallas mode.
Yeah. He stayed overtime just to make sure he signed every autograph for everybody who was in line.
Right.
Which that's old school. That's old school
Absolutely.
right there. So shout out to Dallas. That's a gentleman right there. I did hear that you had Teddy Long over there in your area there, and y'all were cutting up.
Oh God, that boy, that man. I kept telling him, get away from me.
Yes. Listen, you remember when Teddy had a Jerry curl?
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember that.
Teddy Long must be related to Bobby Womack because they had the same hairdo back in the 80s, man.
For those of you that don't know who Bobby Womack is, he's an R&B singer who passed away, unfortunately, a few years back. But he had one of the greatest singles, "If You Think You're Lonely Now, Wait Until Tonight."
Yes.
And my mother played that until the record didn't work anymore.
Yes. Love it. Across 110th Street, remember that one too?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Shit.
Bobby Womack was a huge deal back in the 80s and even in the 70s.
Yeah. He liked to talk in his music, which was the best part. So he wouldn't just sing; he would tell you a story first, and then he would sing the song. Loved it.
Oh, absolutely. But it's like pro wrestling. You tell a story that resonates with people and that people can invest in, and music is the same way.
But Bobby had a song, "He'll Be Here When the Lights Come On," and it's a song about Bobby being at a club he just performed at, and he sees a lady, beautiful lady, sitting there. He said, "Hey, I'll buy you a drink," and she's like, "You don't want to buy me a drink. You want to take me up to your room." And he's like, "Listen, if I wanted you up to my room, I would just say, come up to the room. No, I was just trying to be cordial and buy you a drink." So he says they get to talking. And then she does say, "Hey, I want to go up to the room." And then he said, "Nah, you don't want to go up with me. Go home to your man, because I'm gone to the next town, but he'll be here when the lights come on." Hell of a song, hilarious song, real song. And it's a hell of a story to tell. That's who Bobby Womack was, man. That, like you said, like pro
Yeah,
wrestling, telling a great story. You know, wow,
absolutely.
that's fun. That's fun. It's interesting because you had that busy weekend with River City, all that stuff was going on, and at the same time we had the joint PLE Worlds Collide, which was AAA and WWE. For those who may not realize this, WWE owns AAA now. They are the majority owner of AAA Mexico. So that's their company now, technically. And
Let
they
me
put
ask
on
you a
this.
question.
Yeah, please.
Do you feel like all of this collaboration with WWE and all of these other different organizations, do you feel like it is a repeat of what we saw in the 80s where Vince took over the majority of the wrestling world by either running the businesses out of business, and not saying that they're running them out of business, but joining, bringing their talent over to them and making them into superstars? Do you feel that is the same thing that's going on now, but in
I,
a
I bel-
different way?
exactly. I think you said it just right. I think it's a variation of the same thing. It's a little different in the sense that I think they've
Yeah.
learned from their mistakes in the past, and they're showing more respect to these
Hmm.
organizations. You know what I mean? It's not like they closed down AAA. It's not like they're closing down TNA. They're legitimately collaborating and allowing those brands to continue to
That's a
build. You know,
uh-huh.
which helps.
Absolutely.
If AAA continues to be a strong brand, then you can run Mexico and have no problem. That's just the
It's
way it
awesome.
is. And in
Hmm.
TNA, you don't want them to go out of business because Eric Bischoff said something interesting the other day. He said TNA is probably the biggest threat to AEW because as long as TNA is allowed to exist and they get this WWE collaboration, the sky is the limit for that company.
Hmm.
So AEW can't be number two when TNA is getting that type of love from WWE. You
Right.
know, that it because there's no comparison. It's a
Mm.
much more polished product. The wrestling is making more sense, and you got stars who can cross over. You could see them on NXT. You could see them in the Royal Rumble. You could see them at WrestleMania with Joe Henry. So it's
Hmm.
like, how do you now? Here's the issue, though, Devon. I'm going to throw it back on you. When do we get to a point where it starts to become a concern of monopoly? Because remember, that was one of the things that MLW was accusing WWE of, and then WWE ended up settling with them in order to put that to bed. But when do we start worrying that they're monopolizing things?
I really, I don't have the answer to it, but what I can probably say is when companies start losing revenue, losing attendance, and things like that because their major stars are with WWE, I think that's when it starts. I think that's what happened even with AEW when I'm not AEW, AWA when they did what was it, the dark side of wrestling? What
Yeah,
those
Dark
things
Side
that
of the
come on
Ring.
A&E?
Yeah,
Dark
Dark
Side of
Side
the
of the
Ring. I
Ring.
think there was something that was said to that in so many documentaries where Vern, the attendance dropped, they weren't making money, and then one day, he told his son, he's like, "We got to close the doors because we just don't have it no more." I think that's when it becomes an issue, um, because that's exactly what happened with the AWA, Georgia Championship Wrestling. I mean, with everything. Luckily the NWA didn't fold the way some of the other companies did, and they wind up, becoming WCW and just coming back to life. I think that's when there's a problem when you don't have the talent that you used to, where your attendance drops, your revenue drops, and what do you do from there? You got no other choice but to start closing doors. If you start seeing that with the organization, I feel that's where you start to be concerned.
Great point. Great point. And I don't think we want that. And
No,
WWE, I caution you, you don't want that. Because
no,
if as soon as you're deemed a monopoly, the government steps in and they break you up. Simple as that.
yep,
WBD just had to do that. Warner
No,
Brothers
I did not
Discovery.
know that.
They bought Discovery and they were allowed to make that purchase, and not enough changed, and it was really just they had too much power. So the government stepped in and said, either you split the company into two, or we're going to make you split it. So
Right.
they announced this week. Well, they announced a couple days ago they're splitting WBD, and it's going to be all of the movie and TV properties for the most part are going to be one company, and then the more sports is going to be its own separate company.
Okay.
So it's like, well, why did you buy Discovery in the first place if you're just going to be you're going to do this all over again? But it's a restructuring, and they're going to be called two separate companies. More importantly, they're going to be called two separate companies. So again, that whole monopoly thing, man. Once the government starts knocking on the door, you have no more control. They're gonna make you split. So keep that
Pretty
in
much that's
mind.
how it's going to wind up going.
Yeah, yeah. So there
But
there is such a thing as too much.
I don't see AEW doing that. Just for the simple fact that the money that they have between Tony Khan and his dad, it's just an endless amount of money. I don't see it happening unless, they see in their pockets that it's not making the money that it should, and they can't keep going in pocket and doing this. Because listen, having a you could win the lottery tomorrow. You could win $20 million tomorrow. And at first, hey, it's great to win that type of money and want to open up your own organization. But you have to also remember that eventually that money will dwindle. Listen, $20 million is not a lot of money to open up your own organization. It gives you maybe 6 months to a year. Remember, the production has to be tip top. Talent has to be paid, and eventually, if that money's not coming in through the profit and the revenue that it should generate through the people, through merchandise sales and all that, you wind up digging in your pocket. How much are you willing to continue to lose before you close the doors? And that's one of the things I don't want to see with AEW. I want to see them prosper. I want to see them go at it. I want to see Tony Khan not have to put money, his own money, continuously into the company where the money can start generating on its own. The amount of money that he needs to keep that establishment going. That's what I would like to see. And that's what I hope to see in the near future.
Well said. Well said. I'm with you on that 100%.
Hmm.
Again, nobody wants to see these guys go out of business. So figure it out, please.
Yes.
Anyway, at the Money in the Bank PLE, we had a surprise return of sorts. During the main event, John Cena was attacked by a masked man who revealed himself to be Ron the Truth Killings, aka Ron Truth, our Truth. So what did you think about that, Devon? Because last we heard, Truth was he announced that his contract was not renewed by the company, and essentially his time with the company was over. And then he appears at the PLE. So what are your
Hmm.
thoughts, first of all, on Truth being back, and then we'll unpack the other stuff. What are your initial thoughts when you saw him attack Cena?
Well, you know, in my opinion, it reminded me of something that we saw in the mid millennium, where when Matt Hardy left after
Mm.
the whole controversy between Edge and Lita and himself, and the fans were, chanting, "We want Matt" throughout the whole arena. And it was one of those things where it's almost similar to that, where the fans spoke and they were heard. And I think that was one of the things about Truth. Um, he was loved by many. Hell, he was loved by Vince McMahon. I mean, there was nothing that Truth could have done in Vince's eyes that was wrong. And I think he was doing the same thing here under the Triple H's regime. But I also feel that whatever happened behind closed doors where they weren't going to renew his contract, the fans spoke very highly because after the pay-per-view match that he had with John Cena, it was really good. I thought maybe that would have put him in a different light other than comedy. And I think the fans thought that too because he did such a great showing. But then, he got, said his contract wasn't going to be renewed and this and that, and he left. And it was kind of like the fans ultimately brought him back. I was there for the whole thing with Matt Hardy. I was there. I was there for everything, so I saw what had happened. So,
You're somebody who worked with Truth for years, and you actually got to produce him with those 24
mhm.
7 segments and what have you. What's the value of a guy like Truth in a WWE locker room in 2025? Why is this person so important that we have to fight for his position in the company and make sure that the company keeps him?
Because the fans love him. The fans love him. He's done a great job. He's been very, very WWE since he's been there. He's never given the company any issues or any problems. He's done everything that he's ever asked to do, and he's done it with pride. Even if he didn't like it, he did it. So my opinion is that you know that's somebody that you just don't want to lose. He's a team player, and the fans see that as well.
Yeah, well said. Well said. What'd you think about him cutting his hair? He didn't shave it bald yet, but he cut the braids that he had in his hair. What'd you think of that?
I don't know. That's something that could have possibly, oof, that could have broke me, but I won't have that problem because I don't have any hair.
Well, you had hair. Listen, we don't act like we don't remember you with hair now, Devon. We remember you when you had your little mini fro. we remember that. You know. Do you think he should have done that in a hair versus hair match or something like that, or did you like the way that they did that?
Well, a hair versus hair match against him and Cena, I think people would have probably thought Cena was going to lose because, he is, he's becoming to look like me a little bit. He's losing that hair in the back of his head and his hairline is going way back. So I think people would have thought that he was going to lose, but yet it would have been our truth, I guess, if he would have lost. And then not to mention them doing it the way they did, it just sets up for another story.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep. Yep. Because what did he say? I wish you would. He kind of reminds me of Naomi at this point, and you see with her,
Mm-hmm.
she just won the Money in the Bank, so it kind of
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of her with that new attitude there. You know?
Listen, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Again, I love what WWE has been doing under Levesque. All of the storylines. Hey, ratings might be down a little bit, but you know what? They are still getting the job done. They're still getting people to talk, and that's one of the things that they like. So, can they afford to lose some ratings? Yes, they can. But at the same token, you don't want that, but you got to do whatever you got to do to keep the ball rolling, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, that's the truth.
Hmm.
It's funny because one of the big time producers, Metro Boomin, who he's done some stuff with WWE. He's a big fan. He had tweeted out that he wants to rework Truth's theme song. And Truth said, "Well, I want to keep the theme song because it ain't broke. But thank you. We can collaborate in other ways." What do you say about that? Are you a fan of changing up the theme songs once it's been after a certain period of time, or do you think you should keep your original theme?
Sometimes I think you should, but then sometimes I think you need to change it. I'll give you a prime example. The Dudley Boys, with Saliva doing Get the Tables, I thought there couldn't be nothing better than that. And then me and Bubba separated. I went to separate ways. When we came back to each other, he came to me the Monday Night Raw. We were going to come back. And he says, I want you to listen to this song. Tell me what you think. It was Power Man 5000,
Mm,
get up, get up, get up, drop the bombshell. And at first, it was like, didn't do it for me. But then I heard it a second and third time. I was like, okay. And then once I said, let's try it. Once we came out to it and the energy that that song brought, it just changed my whole outlook on our theme music. There's other people that got theme songs, like, for instance, and I'm talking about the '90s, Gangrel. Gangrel, that song to this day, plus that entrance, anytime I watch it, I get goosebumps. How good that entrance was, with him coming up from the ground with the fire, and when he had the Hardys with him. I mean, good God, that was, to this day, that's number one in my book. The song that DX had at one point, uh, couldn't get any better than that, I thought. But then they came up with Run DMC doing a collaboration with them, and making that new song happen. I listen to it to this day. I play it every day at my wrestling school before people when they start warming up, because it has so much energy. It's so damn good that, you know it gets the students riled up. So it all depends on how good the song can be and how it can resonate with the people.
That's deep. I forgot that Power Man 5000 did that theme. Wow, that's a hell of
Yep.
a band, man. Damn.
You okay?
Okay, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, at WrestleMania, when they played us to the ring, I listened to that all the time. Even though it was my theme music, I listened to it all the time, and I honestly thought that there could be, nothing better than, Saliva get the tables, but they proved otherwise.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. That was cool. You know, it's funny. Shinsuke Nakamura, who has that theme, Shinsuke with the violin, and I'm sure you've seen it when the guy plays the violin live. What's your thoughts on Shinsuke's theme when the guy does it live?
Shinsuke got that song over in NXT. I remember me and Bubba's last hurrah, right before we left the second time, we did an indie show. And the indie show, they were basically playing his music without him even being there. And the fans were singing it, they were humming it, and it really turned out really good. So,
Wow.
Shinsuke got that over like $1 million. And I remember looking out over the crowd and going, what the hell? Because I knew who Shinsuke Nakamura was, but I didn't realize, how over that song got. So Shinsuke got that over. He got that over at NXT, and he did a damn good job in doing it. I just wish they would do more with Shinsuke.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a damn travesty that he never got a run with one of the big titles. I think Shinsuke would be a great champion.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, he goes back to Japan, and he'll be a major star.
Absolutely. Which is
No, anybody that comes to the WWE after being in Japan and then they go back, they're huge.
yeah, it's true. It's
They're
true. There's
huge.
plenty of money on the table.
I give you point in case. Funaki. Funaki was like below mid card, but yet everybody loved him. He worked his butt off. He did what he had to do. We went to Japan. He came out. It was like getting an ovation from The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's how big he became.
Wow.
Even being a guy who opened up matches all the time, it was incredible.
Well, shoot, when you and Bubba won the titles in Japan, same thing, right? I mean, you guys were super over by the time you got back to Japan and did that.
hmm
You know, they
It,
loved it.
it, yeah, it was. But remember, WWE, ECW made us, and WWE perfected us. That was just how it was.
Good
And
point.
it was one of those things where we were very happy about it.
Good point. Good point. I'll tell you right now, WWE, do not let Shinsuke Nakamura go. Figure it out,
I'm gonna do it again.
because if you're expanding in Japan, he's a perfect person to do that with. So I'd find a way. I'm just going to put that out there.
Exactly.
They have not squeezed all the juice out of that talent, not even close. There's still a lot more left in the tank with Shinsuke. So, you know. Uh, lastly, I got to ask you about this. Chad Gable. You know, a lot of people say he's El Grande Americano. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the word on the street. He may be, or they're at least related. He wrestled, at Worlds Collide, and then he wrestled at Money in the Bank, and he was actually in the Money in the Bank match. Just your thoughts on Chad Gable from what you've seen, because I know that you knew him from NXT as well and what have you. Seeing where he's at today, is there more to do with Chad Gable? Do you think this guy's a real deal?
I think he is. Not only as an amateur wrestler, but even as a worker. I've seen him work his butt off. And it was sad to me when Vince was in charge that he wasn't getting the push that he's getting now. Because I saw him being a hell of a talent if you just gave him a chance. He worked so hard to remain in that company and to do whatever they asked for during the Vince regime. And it just didn't seem that it was working, that Vince didn't see anything because he was a smaller guy. Here's the deal I like. Triple H, regardless of your size, he's giving you the opportunity if you take the ball and run for the touchdown. That's what I love about him. He gives those people that didn't have a chance under the Vince's regime, he gives them a chance. And it just seems like a lot of them knock it out the box. Now there's some people that unfortunately was not lucky to knock it out the box and they failed and they were let go. But Chad is the real deal.
Well said. Well said. And he's an Iron Man. The fact that
Hmm
he wrestled twice that day, two major positions, and made everybody look great.
Listen,
Says a
I'm
lot.
jealous because I wish I was in the shape that Chad was in. Good God, that
Oh
man
yeah,
can
he's in great
go.
shape. Yeah, he's in great
He
shape.
is a machine. He's like Kurt Angle 2.0 when it comes to that. You couldn't blow
100%.
Kurt up. You
No.
can't blow Chad up. There's no
Yep.
way.
Yep.
He's
Well said.
just that good.
And he had a match with Vikingo at Worlds Collide. I mean, Vikingo doing that lucha style. The fact that it meshes so well with the way that Gable wrestles is tremendous. His versatility in the
Hmm
ring is on. It's like, wow, this guy is really good. You
Yeah, he
know?
really is.
Yeah.
I mean, and so is Jason Jordan. Even
Yep.
though he's a producer now, it was unfortunate what happened with his neck. It really was. But Jason is a great guy. We got along so good when I was a producer. When he took Laurinaitis' place for a little bit, and I was there during that time, he had took Laurinaitis' place, so he was kind of like John, the new John around the town. We worked together. He was fantastic, not only as a producer taking John Laurinaitis' place, but as talent. Forget about it. He was good as well. He could go, and if it wasn't for that neck injury, he could still be on top. He would be probably world's champion.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe it. Handsome, great build, could go in the ring. The fans enjoyed him. Yeah, he would have been champion, no doubt.
There was one time we were waiting online for something somewhere, and these girls were down there. They were just like googly eyed, and I'm sitting up there going, ha ha ha, yeah. They're looking at me, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then all of a sudden, they go, hi, you Jason Jordan? Talking to Jason, and he goes, yes, I am. He goes, man, me and my friends have been admiring you and your beauty. I just went, oh. I was like, man, go away.
He cramping your style.
Yeah.
Listen, all that hard work you done all these years, man. All the classic moments, for this pretty boy to step in. Damn,
I looked at a thing from Martin. Pretty Ricky is what they call
yes,
him.
yes,
Or with New Jack City when Nino was like, "I never liked that pretty mother bumper anyway."
exactly, exactly.
I said pretty mother bumper. I didn't want to say what he originally said in the movie.
Listen,
So
we don't need any problems from the bishop. So yeah, we're gonna keep it
no,
PG.
none. Oh God, no. Oh, listen, my mother. Oh, forget about it. Listen, let me put it this way. I'm 52 years old, going to be 53 in August 1st. And I still don't even say the word dawn around my mother.
Yeah,
I don't say
yeah,
damn, dawn, nothing. She commands that respect,
yep.
and I give it to her.
She raised you right, man. I love that. I love that. Shout out to
Absolutely.
the bishop. Shout out to Jason Jordan. I'm gonna have to clip this and send it to him because he'll get a kick out of hearing that story be brought up there. Jason, pretty Ricky, in the flesh, so to speak. I love it. I love it.
One of the things I'll never forget, one of the stories that Jason laughs about to this day, because I love to take the gummies or, I'll smoke some flower here and there, and I have a pen. So I was in my hotel room waiting for my car to be brought down, and I was just like, oh God, it was taking forever. And I never told the story before, but I basically started smoking my pen. And I didn't think I smoked enough for me to start feeling stuff, but apparently I did. So I'm in a production meeting. Vince got there a little late, and he find they all come down, they sit down. It's Kevin Dunn, it's Vince, it's Ed Ed Kowski, the writer, and they're all sitting in the front, and we're going over some of the matches. And something was asked of me, what did I think about something? And I said it. And Michael Hayes goes, well, damn, Devon high as hell right now. I looked at, I, I looked at Michael Hayes. I said, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I am. I'm high as fuck right now. And I looked at Vince, and Vince had this look on his face. I said, look, Vince, I'm just telling you right now. I was smoking my pen, didn't realize I got to that level. So I'm telling you now, so you don't have to drug test me. I'm high as hell right now giving my answer. So I'm just letting you know. Everybody in the production meeting fell out. Even Natty's husband, TJ, who you really have to say something funny to get him to break and laugh, he fell out. And Jason Jordan was just like, Devon, I said, I'm telling the truth. So y'all don't make up shit when I leave. I'm telling you I'm high. Oh, it
These are
was so funny.
these are stories no one's ever heard before, man.
No.
That's good stuff.
And Vince just looked at me and goes, ha, ha, ha. I said, Vince, I'm just telling you now. I'm telling you, you don't have to drug test me. I'm admitting I'm high.
So wait a second. I gotta ask this. I gotta ask this. Have you ever known Vince to ever partake?
I've never heard of anything. I mean, I've heard about the 90s and the 80s. I heard about the 80s, not the 90s. The 80s about, he
Had a good time.
basically had a good time. I don't know for certain. I can't speak on it. I don't know. But, again, it wasn't like it was with the boys or anything like that. I never heard of that before. But, again, I do know that he liked to drink. He like, glass of wine here and there and blah, blah, blah. On certain days, especially after good pay-per-views or good Monday Night Raws, if we were having some type of function there. This is when Vince actually came out and socialized with the guys.
Mm.
So this was, back in those days, I heard. And again, I wasn't there because I was either in elementary school or I was in junior high or even high school at the time when all of this stuff supposedly, when he was actually, having a couple of drinks with the boys, after WrestleManias or after major events. Not that he was out of control. I had never heard of that. I've never heard that from anybody, but he enjoyed his wine, and that was basically it that I heard of. I never heard of him doing drugs with the boys or anything like that. And if he did do it again, I didn't know about it. Again, I wasn't there. So I don't know. I'm only going by what the people from the 80s, from the Hogan and Andre era, and even somewhat the Attitude era before I got there. I mean, again, you never heard of Vince, doing anything in public that would put his name in a bad light like that. And if you did, again, I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Well said. Well said. I've always been curious about that though. Because at this
Hmm.
point, man, there's no way that you can give people a hard time about marijuana. You don't want people to be on those prescription drugs, man. You know, so the weed is the way to go. Gummies, whatever it is, that's the way to go. So
Well, that's what I did when after my back surgery because they wanted to give me painkillers, and I told them no. I rejected. I said I don't want that. I don't have an addictive personality, but at the same token, I'm not trying to take any chances because you're in so much pain from the back surgery, and if that's relieving the pain, then it's very easy to get hooked on stuff like that. And I said no, I wasn't taking it. So I had gotten my marijuana card, and basically, when I was in pain, I just took a gummy and laid down, and I was relaxed.
the way it
So
should
there
be.
is there is some truth to medical marijuana really helping the body during times like that. It's when people abuse it is when it's not.
Well said. Anything in moderation is not so bad. Just be safe and responsible, folks. That's the main idea there. What do you got going on for
It's
the
no
weekend
different
there,
than
Devon?
drinking.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I'm
No
off
different from
this.
drinking.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, I'm off this week. I was supposed to be in Orlando at a toy convention, but they can't. They had to cancel it, so we rescheduled the date for later on. So I'm working the following week, and I'm going uh, to be doing a Comic Con. Hold on one second, I'll get it for you. But and I was excited to be able to be off this week. I didn't think I was going to, but I guess I am.
Get
So
some rest,
nothing.
you know?
Some well needed rest. I've been listening for the past couple of days, because the kids are out of school, so I've been sleeping until about 8, 9 o'clock. People go,
Oh,
"That's
boy.
not sleeping late." It is for me.
Yeah, please. We're used to being up at 3, 4 in the morning. So if you could sleep till 7, 8, 9 o'clock, that's shit. You sleeping in for sure, brother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm gonna be at the Westchester County Center in White Plains on June 21st. I'm gonna be at West County Center, so I'll be there, doing the autographs and doing everything I got to do with the fans.
Awesome stuff there. And how can folks keep up with you, man, so they can see all the different flyers and what have you, where you're going to be, and also keep an eye on what's next with Devon Dudley.
Well, we got the YouTube channel coming up. It's going to be, we're going to have guest Mick Foley will be in attendance on that YouTube channel. Carlito might be. He had to wait till after his stuff runs out with WWE, of course. We've got most likely Haku, legendary wrestler Haku will be there is on the YouTube channel as well. So we're looking forward to a lot of the stars that's going to be on the show coming up, and it should be very interesting watch.
Ooh, I like that teaser. So you definitely got to check out the Devon Dudley YouTube, folks, so you don't miss anything. Got to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything, please.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And we're also working on a WWE person in interest as well. We're working on trying to see maybe if we can get the likes of a Jacob Fatu on the show. So we're working on that as well. So it's very interesting of what's going on.
I love that. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Man, listen, Jacob is tearing it up, by the way. He is tearing it up. He might get Rookie of the Year. He might get Rookie of the Year, man.
Listen, if anything, he deserves it.
He's tearing it up, man. That dude is box office. Ain't no question about that. As always, folks, Duke Loves Wrestling on Facebook, on Twitter, Duke Loves Wrestling at gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show, all the good stuff. Get your shout outs in. Definitely make sure that you pay attention to where Devon is going to be so you can go meet the big man, get your autograph, get your pictures. So many folks from all over were at River City this past weekend, and they all had nothing but positive things to say about interacting with Devon and getting their photos, getting their autographs. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, man.
Absolutely.
So it's lovely. I love it. I love it. All right, man, it's that time. What do you got for our word of the week?
Well, what I have is it's not really a saying, but it's something that I saw. I was like, I got to say this. Apologize to the old folks who used to judge for eating dinner at 5 and being in bed by 9. You guys are really on to something, and that is the truth. Testify.
My brother.
Strictly for the culture every day. Stepping style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so defined. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the sky. Strictly for the culture, brand so fine. Dress to impress and show your shine. Strictly for the culture, every day. Step in style in your unique way.
Visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
whispers and the crowds roar. From matching giants to legends of yore. Devon's wisdom and Duke's keen view. Every episode feels like it's brand new. Devon and the Duke bring the heat. Wrestling tales knock you off your seat. Tune in now, don't you be late. Wrestling podcast never fails.